3, 2 from high atop the world headquarters of Southeastern Fly. This is the Southeastern Fly Podcast. Thanks for joining us on this episode. Feel free to share it with your friends and your fishing partners. Also, you can now watch some of these episodes on YouTube. So if you'll subscribe to the Southeastern Fly Podcast YouTube channel or Southeastern Fly YouTube channel, you can watch some of these interviews go down. So today we're going to have 3 questions and 3 or so answers. And these came from one was from a direct conversation I had with somebody. The other was text, and then the other one came from the Fly Fishing Podcast by Southeastern Fly Facebook group. So if you're on that Facebook group, you may have seen this. And then got a couple other things we'll probably talk about. But I was up at the fly shop not too long ago, and somebody just kind of point blank asked me, well, David, what do you do anything for conservation? And I kind of have hit on this time or two, and it wasn't it was kind of asked in more of a tone of exactly what are you doing for conservation? So, and I'll get to that, but let's talk about, we won't talk about the person that actually asked it. I know them. I've been on the river at the same time with them. I haven't fished with them. And I don't know what they do for conservation because I didn't ask. Everybody's kind of got their own pet projects and pet ways of doing things. Mine's probably a little bit different, but I've seen it before. It's nothing new, but so let's talk about the keyboard conservationists that click like on posts and that sort of thing on social media, and they put it out there that, oh, we should do this and we should do that. Hopefully those keyboard conservationists are hopefully they're actually doing something besides clicking like on Facebook and Instagram. So I'm gonna leave that laying right there. And I'll say this, I've got my way of doing it. And again, I'll get to that in a minute, but supporting good local functions, like river cleanups, that sort of thing, is really a good way to do it. That happens usually on almost every river, at least once a year, at least. And if you're in the Southeast and you're in one of those groups and you want to send me a note, let me know when you're going to do it, and I will put that out on the Facebook page so everybody in our group can see it, and that hopefully will help get another person or 2 out there. But what do we do in between there? And that's kind of where my way of doing this. Everybody should have a way of helping with conservation. I'm talking now specifically about litter. It's kind of my slant on it. I know there's other ways to do it, supporting different charities and different organizations, but my way of conservation is try to pick up litter, because I'm on the river probably quite a bit more than most folks, and I try to pick up at least one piece of garbage on every trip that I go to the river, somewhere, either in the parking lot, on the riverbank, at the takeout, which is not hard to find anything around here in the takeout. I don't know what these people are thinking. They're just throwing stuff on the ground. I know stuff blows out of boats and stuff blows out of the back of trucks, and people drop stuff out of cars, but good grief, people, come on. We can do better than that. But my way is just to pick up at least one piece of garbage. So the other day I went, and I'm not patting myself on the back, I'm just telling you how I do it. You do it your way. But we were floating one day and I saw a Doritos bag on a stick sitting beside a old campfire that's put out, and then a couple of cups laying there. And I didn't stop and get them that day. We had some stuff going on. So anyway, I kept on going. Well, the next day I took a little different line into this particular place that we fish, into this particular hole. And I moved over and I just stopped, which was good because the clients were wanting to get out for just a minute. And I just walked over there and picked up those 3 pieces of garbage. So that counted as 1 for me. So I got my 1. But I picked up those 3 pieces of garbage. I just tossed them in the trash can in the boat, and they are now, should be in the landfill by now, I would hope. Goodness. But that's just my way. I think I'm around 45 trips or something like that where I've been able to pick up at least 1. But let's call it 40. I'm at 40 now. 40 trips, I think. got to be close to that anyway. I'm probably a little bit over, so we'll cut it back to 40. So I just want to see how many times I can remember that. It's almost, the repetition is almost so that I am getting into the habit of just grabbing something and tossing it. So I tossed a couple things in the parking lot into the trash can at one of the rivers we fish at the other day. So that counted as my one. So I'm really probably getting more than one per trip, but at least one. If everybody would do that, I think we'd have much cleaner rivers everywhere. All in the Southeast, our rivers would look a lot better. And who knows, maybe you'll put some peer pressure on somebody, or you'll be a good you'll have a good what's the word I'm looking for? You'll be a good role model. Thank you for that, and someone will see you and they'll start it. But nothing big, just something. So next question. That's my. What do you do for conservation? Do you do anything for conservation? That was the way the question was phrased. So, and that spurred off of a little bit of a different conversation we were having. It wasn't probably quite as combative as what it seems, but it definitely had an edge to it. So, the next question comes from somebody, and they just ask, "Hey, David, who do you think is the best all-time fly fishing angler?" So it certainly isn't me. I'm a long way. Many might say Lefty. Some would say probably Flip. Some might say Kelly. A lot of saltwater folks might say Andy or Stu. Some freshwater folks might argue George or Walter, or there's a myriad of different people in there that you could say, oh, they're definitely the best. The best all-time angler. I don't know how to figure that out, but I mean, they may not even live in the US, but I bet they do. I would argue they probably do, because we have the freedom to fish wherever and whenever we choose for the most part. And freedom offers that perk to get out there more and make yourself a better angler. So then I started thinking, well, what is it that makes the best angler? Now we're going down the rabbit hole, y'all. So welcome to my world. So well-rounded, is that the best angler? So can get in any condition and fish really well. A good caster who can get it out there exactly in the right spot. Someone that's great at presentations. Would it be competition anglers? They do a lot of. They hone their craft a lot, whole lot. Wow, into the micro. Maybe it's a great tire that can do all those things, but they're also a great tire. So I don't. That's a hard one. That's a hard question to ask. So spurring that thought, here's a little different take. This is David's take on it. All those people are great. Don't get me wrong, but I would argue it's someone who is well-rounded in fishing, but of good character. Someone who would, let's just say, we would enjoy the ride to the river with them if we were in the same vehicle. I've got about an hour to an hour and a half drive to the river most days. And could I stand to be in the vehicle with them? Someone that is well-rounded, but also who you would look forward to fishing with a couple times a month. For me, that would be someone that's well-rounded, brings something new to the boat every once in a while to try. And I'm not talking about clients. I'm just talking about friends. Somebody that likes to laugh, and someone who has some good stories. Somebody that doesn't have to catch the most fish in the river, but that they're gonna run their numbers up, and they don't have to catch the biggest fish in the river, and they could also do that. So I don't know that I probably look at it kind of differently than other folks will. Maybe I'm just past that. So I would have to ask, why do you want to know who's the best all-time angler? So if it is Lefty or Flip or Kelly or Andy or Stu, so what? Does it matter? Does it make you any better at your craft getting out there? Maybe it's just another one of those mindless talking points that are similar to the all-time greatest basketball player, Michael or LeBron, and we all know that clearly it's Michael. LeBron isn't even in the picture. So maybe it is just a talking point. Maybe it is just a conversation. But anyway, So there, I don't know who the best angler is, but I don't know that I care. I don't even know who the best angler is that I know, if that makes sense. So there's quite a discussion going on over on the Fly Fishing Podcast by Southeastern Fly Podcast Facebook group, something like that. That's the hardest thing to say. I wish I would have named that a little different. But so Shane asked, I actually talked to Shane the other night. Shane asked, wondering if anybody has advice on smallmouth leaders for the wading angler. And I think I answered, I can't remember what my answer was. I was really glad to see the number of folks that jumped in there and gave answers, provided answers for Shane. So Shane is getting into the smallmouth fishing. He's a pretty good trout fisherman. Fishes the Smokies a lot. He fishes the Smokies about like I used to whenever I lived over there. But Shane is doing that, and several folks came in and gave their take in a really positive way. So there's a lot of answers in there that you might, if you're part of that group and haven't found that, go back and find that thread. It's worth reading and looking through. Just nothing that's super technical. It's just some good, solid answers there for Shane. And like I said, I talked to Shane the other night, and he's already been out smallmouth fishing specifically for smallmouth one time, or once recently, I guess I should say. And he's really just getting into the entry space of that particular part of fly fishing, and he's already armed with some good information, and he's got a little bit of recon that he's done, and a lot of the things that I told him, a lot of the things that he applies to trout can also be applied to smallmouth. And I thought that I think that's something really good to keep in mind, that just because you're going for a little bit different species, it's still a fish, and they're still going to eat what food is in the river. So that's something to consider. Smallmouth are looking for, they're a little bit lower in elevation from, let's just say, the Smokies. It's probably the best way to put it, or downstream from the trout in the tail waters a lot of times, in the colder tail waters. So just something to keep in mind is, what is that food? And I know we've been over that several times, but it's definitely worth considering. What is the food in the river? I was talking to somebody the other day about crawfish, and they had a big orange one there. And I said, yeah, I tried the orange, and for me, it didn't work. But I went to a more brown color, and it turned them right on. And then I saw a crawfish in that particular river later that month, and they were more brown than they were orange at that time. So anyway, something to keep in mind. Just those things. What are they eating on in that river, and try to craft your flies after those particular items that you think or that they are probably eating. So that was question 3. Bonus question. Let's do a bonus question, because I want to talk about this. Also on the Fly Fishing Podcast by Southeastern Fly Facebook page, we recently did a poll about Mount Rushmore. It's not really about Mount Rushmore. It's kind of that question. Anybody can think about their question of their Mount Rushmore of fly rods, Mount Rushmore of flies, Mount Rushmore of rivers, and on and on and on. But this particular Mount Rushmore question should be on the all-time Mount Rushmore fly fishing questions. So if there was a fly fishing question, Mount Rushmore fly fishing questions, you can bet that this would be on there. What is your Mount Rushmore of food while fly fishing? And there's 4. If you don't know, there's four folks on Mount that their faces are carved into Mount Rushmore. Hence the format for the question of the 4 whatevers of Mount Rushmore. As I said, this question should be on the Mount Rushmore of all fly fishing questions. What is your favorite Mount Rushmore of food while fly fishing. So this is David's, and a lot of people have answered it. A lot of good answers, a lot of repeats in there too. Cold chicken. I love cold chicken on the river, and it absolutely it made it in there several times. Although I did not put it on mine because I've got a little bit different way of looking at it. So, number one, powdered donuts has to be the little white ones in the bag. Tasty cakes right now are my favorite, but I also like Little Debbie's variety of those little white ones too. There was something that had a lot of sugar, like little grains of sugar on the outside. I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't cinnamon. It didn't have a flavor per se, but it was really good. And I haven't found those lately, so I'm kind of back on those little white powdered donuts. And when I bring them out on the boat, people start reliving their childhood, and there's always a good discussion on those things. So, little white powdered donuts definitely makes one of the spots on my Mount Rushmore. I don't think you can go to the river without chocolate. I learned that as I've said in many other episodes. I learned always have chocolate on the boat. I learned that from my grandmother. She always brought chocolate. All those little, she would have those little bitty Snickers bars and those little Nestle Crunches and the little, just all those goodness, really good pieces of chocolate in a little igloo cooler. The red one with the white top that kind of flipped to the side. So Snickers for me, that just makes sense. Reese's, that's kind of a trade off. Depends on what I'm doing. Another one of my Mount Rushmore food of fly fishing or food while fly fishing is pretzels. So after you eat powdered donuts and Snickers, you really need to get something that's a little bit salty to kind of curb that piece of your appetite. So pretzels, I like the little straight sticks. I tried the Dots pretzels, but gum are they're like $8 a bag or something like that, and I can move through them pretty quick. So I moved back to the regular pretzels. Uh, and Dots are pretty salty too. I probably need to cut out a little bit of salt so that I can make room for my next uh, fly fishing food with Mount Rushmore. And this is a tradition. It can never be removed. Even if I remove the powdered donuts and took something and put it in its place, I can do that with powdered donuts, Snickers, pretzels, but I cannot do it with Vienna sausages. That is one of the best foods on the river, bar none. Uh, it's tradition. It can't be removed, and it can't be argued. No way, ever, never, ever. So yeah, powdered donuts, Snickers, pretzels, and Vienna sausages. Not always in that order, but the Vienna sausages aren't quite as good in the morning as a powdered donut. So you kind of got to temper that and make sure that you have your rhythm down to where you're eating the right snack at the right time to keep you going. And then at the end of the day, you hit your favorite Subway or fast food or whatever. So you really top off a good day of fishing by doing that. So that's my Mount Rushmore of fly fishing foods. And you've probably got yours. And if you haven't been over to the Facebook group, then you need to make your way over there and put in your Mount Rushmore. You'll see a bunch of good ideas over there. And like I said, fried chicken is definitely one of them, and I bring that quite a bit when I'm fishing with friends. And I just the other four just beat it out. So anyway, you're welcome to come over there and join the group. And it's a lot of fun. We have a lot of different things over there, and we steal ideas and steal stuff from other people and put on there so people will know what's going on. So, also, if you haven't listened to the Dads on the Fly podcast, you really should. So they come at it from a little different direction for the angler. They are really into kids and really into dads and their dads fly fishing together. New people. There's a lot of new people. They interview a lot of really good people that I haven't had on. They go outside the Southeast a lot, but they're enthusiastic about fly fishing. I met them the other night and was actually a guest. I think that one's come out already. And you don't have to listen to mine. I mean, it's probably not any good, uh, but they really cool dudes. Both of them are good dudes. Dad's on the Fly. It's available wherever you consume your podcasts. Oh, Let's see. One more thing, and I hit on the very first part of the show. We are on YouTube now, so subscribe to the Southeastern Fly YouTube page. Uh, with most of the episodes from here on, we're going to try to post those. Just put the cicada diaries on there, on the YouTube page, so that folks could watch our facial expressions and hopefully get a little more out of it, maybe by watching. So subscribe to the Southeastern Fly channel on YouTube. We'd appreciate it if you would. Um, so since we're doing that, if you have a fly fishing company and want free advertisement, just send me a couple hats. I need hats for that because you don't want to see my old head. My FM Light and Sons hat, which I'm wearing proudly right now, from Steamboat, Colorado. It's getting a little bit worn. It's brown. It probably doesn't show up real good, but it's brown. I love this hat. I've got a friend, and she's got the same hat that I do. She bought hers a year before I did, and we didn't even know we had the same hat till we were both wearing it one day. But yeah, love this hat, but I'm really kind of looking for something else. So if you have a fly fishing company and you want some free advertisement, send me a couple hats, t-shirts, whatever, and I'll check them out and wear them. So so that's three questions plus a bonus, and also one more thing, all wrapped up into one podcast episode. So let's wrap this one all together up. Thanks for joining us on this episode. Feel free to share it with your friends and your fishing partners. Like I just said, subscribe to the Southeastern Fly YouTube channel, and you just listen to three questions with three answers and a bonus. So see you next time.